Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story takes us deep into the heart of the United States, far away from foreign battlefields, oceans, or air bases. It's a story that exposes something many never imagined could exist on American soil, a highly organized, deeply concealed, and unbelievably profitable weapons trafficking empire worth over $2 billion. For years it operated in the shadows of Florida, blending into ordinary neighborhoods, disguised under legal businesses, and protected by layers of corruption, forged paperwork, and secrecy. But when the United States Navy and the Federal Bureau of Investigation jointly launched a coordinated operation to dismantle it, the results shocked the entire nation. What they found was not just an illegal supply chain, but a secret network connecting private dealers, foreign buyers, stolen military technology, and black market financiers. This wasn't just about selling guns. It was about power, influence, and a parallel economy hiding behind everyday American life. Inside, the operation was far from simple. This wasn't a small group of criminals working from a garage or backyard shed. This was a sophisticated infrastructure involving storage facilities, hidden armories, unregistered manufacturing tools, encrypted communication channels, and shell companies designed to hide the movement of money. Law enforcement had been investigating quietly for years, collecting digital evidence, tracking financial trails, and following leads from both domestic crime cases and international intelligence. The discovery that military-grade components were being rerouted through legal suppliers and disappearing into private hands set off alarms across federal agencies. The United States Navy especially took a direct interest when parts used in naval weapons systems began showing up in weapon stockpiles overseas, and even in conflict zones where the U.S. was actively engaged. It became clear that the network had tentacles reaching beyond state lines and national borders. The performance of the group behind this empire was meticulous. They operated like a legitimate business, complete with managers, logistics coordinators, accountants, and customer support lines. They used coded language, false shipping documentation, and legal loopholes to disguise weapons shipments as industrial equipment. Buyers from South America, Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and even Asia received shipments through ports and air cargo facilities that blended in with thousands of daily imports and exports. Surveillance footage revealed perfectly ordinary-looking public storage warehouses that hid sophisticated assembly rooms behind fake walls. One unit might appear to contain furniture, tools, or office equipment, but a secret compartment behind the drywall revealed rows of weapons components neatly arranged and ready for packaging. The organization's leaders were smart, resourceful, and experienced. They understood law enforcement methods and adapted faster than expected. But even the most careful criminals make mistakes. The safety issue that brought the operation into full focus came when a batch of modified assault rifles linked back to this network was found at the scene of a violent shootout in South Florida. The weapons had been transformed to fire at higher rates than legal limits allowed, and the internal components used in the modification matched parts designed for naval operations. When investigators traced the serial numbers and internal machining marks, they discovered connections to suppliers under Navy contract. The risk was no longer just illegal sales, it was national security. If these weapons could be traced back to U.S. military production lines, it meant there was infiltration somewhere within the supply chain. That realization turned the investigation from a criminal case into a matter of defense integrity. The safety of American forces, as well as the stability of international peacekeeping missions, was potentially compromised. The unique selling points of the empire were what made it so profitable. Instead of dealing in common firearms that were easily detected or traced, the organization specialized in customization and rarity. They provided foreign buyers with weapons that were otherwise restricted or extremely difficult to obtain. This included thermal optics designed for night operations, encrypted targeting components, submarine communication modules, and advanced rifle attachments used by U.S. Special Operations Forces. In some cases, they were even able to offer prototype-level components still in testing phases, meaning someone in the manufacturing chain was leaking information and material. Buyers were willing to pay premium prices because these weapons could shift the balance of power in local or regional conflicts. With this kind of money involved, loyalty was high, and silence was easy to buy. The price figures involved were staggering. Over several years, the group moved more than $1.2 billion through offshore accounts, cryptocurrency wallets, and physical assets. Investigators discovered luxury cars, private yachts, beachfront homes, and entire commercial properties purchased under shell company names. Some of the money flowed back into the U.S. financial system through investments and private lending operations, meaning the empire did not just profit from chaos. It integrated itself into legitimate economic channels. Financial analysts were stunned by the scale of the laundering operation, noting that many banks unknowingly handled transactions connected to the network. It was only when unusual patterns began matching intelligence reports from allied nations that federal authorities began piecing it all together. The conclusion of this story is dramatic but also sobering. In a coordinated raid involving federal agents, naval intelligence officers, customs enforcement, and local law enforcement teams, multiple properties across Florida were stormed simultaneously. Computer servers were seized, weapons stockpiles were dismantled, and key leaders were arrested. Some attempted to destroy evidence by triggering digital wipes and burning encrypted drives, but forensic teams recovered much of the data. The U.S. Navy issued internal audits to determine how the breaches occurred, and several manufacturing contractors fell under review. While the primary leaders of the ring now face federal charges that could result in decades of imprisonment, the investigation is still ongoing. The government is still tracking down overseas buyers, financial brokers, and possible insiders who enabled the flow of military technology. Even though the empire has been taken down, questions remain. How deep did the corruption go? How many other similar operations could still be hidden across the country? And most importantly, how can the military secure its supply chains to prevent something like this from happening again? This operation may have ended one network, but it opened the eyes of the nation. The reality is that war, power, and profit are not always found in distant battlefields. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, right in our own backyards.